Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
Um, no.
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
Senator, no, I would probably not choose to do that publicly here.
I think that may be what this is all about. Your right to privacy, the limits of your right to privacy, and how much you give away in modern America in the name of, quote, connecting people around the world.
Do you know what surveillance capitalism is?
I do not.
No. Capitalism is?
No.
Surveillance capitalism refers to a business concept that many companies such as Facebook, Google, and Amazon use to make money off of consumers while offering products on their platforms. This model includes the collection of vast amounts of users' data by monitoring and tracking what their users do across app platforms and throughout their search engines. This data is then used to lure consumers in the traps which they are bombarded with targeted advertisements that utilize the pre-selected needs based on the patterns they have displayed across the platforms. The attacks on 9/11 led to an alliance of companies and national security agencies to work on ways to increase technological security. However, this reduced the level of privacy held by citizens and led to an ongoing debate today on how much privacy the American public is willing to give up for a sense of security. As a result, hastily passed 45 days after 9/11 in the name of national security was the Patriot Act, which was the first of many changes to surveillance laws that made it easier for the government and companies to spy on ordinary Americans by expanding the authority to monitor phone and email communications, collect bank and credit reporting records, and track the activity of innocent Americans on the internet. While most Americans think it was created to catch terrorists, the Patriot Act actually turns regular citizens into suspects. Cross-app tracking is one aspect that plays into surveillance capitalism in that it refers to how companies measure marketing success across channels. This has the purpose to create targeted advertisements from the collected data from multiple apps. Cross-app tracking is easily exploited as there are little regulations over how a company goes apart from their practices with data tracking.
What does privacy mean to you, especially with technology?
Well, I mean, it means things about me that I would not want people to know. As a for instance, one day before class, I was having lunch and I went on the Macy's website and was shopping for bras. Then I went into class and I was going to show my large lecture something online. And when I go online, first thing that pops up are all these ads for bras. That was embarrassing. I'm guessing the students would know that's why. I don't know. So, when things like that happen, you realize, okay, nothing I do online in terms of shopping or talking to people or interacting is private. Even if it's not a public forum, right? That's when I feel like my privacy's been violated.
Even though we may feel violated by our data being collected in such a way, usually the data collection practices like cross-app tracking are defined in a company's terms and conditions. However, many of us don't read what is laid out in these lengthy terms when we first use an app or a website.
Do you read the terms and conditions?
No, never.
How would you feel if your social media apps owned every piece of information you posted on the site?
I would feel like really uncomfortable with that. I would not be okay with that.
I used to read terms and conditions, and I'm one of those people now. I just click it. In fact, I've clicked it 6 times today because I was trying to set up an account. I was having trouble setting it up, and that was just like one more obstacle. So I just kept clicking it without reading. And I used to, when I first understood that people were gathering information, 20 years ago, I would try not to do stuff. But it's gotten to the point where you can't navigate through the internet without it. And so, yeah, I just click. I don't think it's safe. So I really don't do a lot of social media. I have a Facebook account, but I don't really use it anymore. And part of it was social media. Part of it was just, I don't know. I feel like I'm a well-adjusted adult, but it would still make me feel insecure.
Our thoughts have little significance to a company beyond its monetary value, in which companies capitalize on what we share. This enables surveillance capitalism, as data is only useful to companies when it is profitable. Companies use tactics behind the scenes for data collection with the intention to fluctuate market power. These tactics include the ways in which companies can collect and sell information about consumers. Market power refers to a company's ability to manipulate their prices for a product in the marketplace through affecting the level of supply, demand, or both. To follow, market power is what directs economic activity with the aid of the invisible hand.
You know, the invisible hand is the idea that resources move around in the economy based on market signals. And that's information, right? Information about what people want to buy. And so in that sense, it's important. But when we think about kind of a surveillance capitalism, that's actually a market failure. And so that normal process of the invisible hand that depends on information, part of the problem is the information's not balanced. So, you know, it's not just understanding what people want to buy, it's not knowing so much about our behavior that they're not just sort of watching the behavior, then they're modifying things to change our behavior based on the information that a lot of us don't even know that they're gathering, right? So there are two kind of market failures there. One is, you know, the tech giants are able to do that because they have a lot of what we would call market power, like monopoly power. And when you have more monopoly power as a company, you have the power to do things and consumers can't always do anything about it. You know, you could say, okay, I'm not going to buy your product, but even just going online and looking at their product has given them information, whether you buy it or not. But then the other problem is that there's a misbalance of information. So, you know, in any kind of bargaining situation, the more you know about the person you're bargaining with, the more you have an advantage. And so it's very, there's not a balance, right? So they have a lot of information about us and we don't have hardly any information about them.
A cross-app tracking blocker was introduced on iOS software, which inhibited the ways in which Facebook runs their digital advertising, as it incorporated the use of cross-app tracking technology. As a result, Facebook was expected to lose $10 billion after this new iOS feature. Even with the push for blockers on cross-app tracking, should there be other means to increase data protection for consumers? We certainly think so. But what are our next steps as a nation?
It's hard for individuals like us to fix the problem, right? And I mean, it would take a massive movement of people, millions of people saying, we won't take it anymore, right? But the problem is a lot of us don't even know what it is we're saying we're not going to take. You know, so some people understand what's happening and some people don't. So that grassroots movement from individuals is difficult to manage. And, you know, they're businesses, and if we quit buying from them, they would respond to that. But again, they have that monopoly power, and we maybe need to buy what it is they're selling or use their search engine or whatever.
It's hard for individuals to take a stand without a large population push. This is why a law needs to be introduced in the United States nationally on data privacy. A law should be proposed modeled off previous laws introduced. For example, the California Consumer Privacy Act entails that consumers have the right to know what data is collected on them, whether that data is sold, the option to opt out of those sales, and the right to access that data. A law like this is needed because there's a lack of regulation of citizens' data and privacy, so a law will be effective since it will control big technology companies and hold them to a higher standard. This is already seen in other countries today, such as the EU's Article 13 Internet Regulation Bill, which puts more power in the hands of its citizens about which data of theirs is used.
What kind of new rights does this law give European citizens that people in the United States might not have?
The default under the European system is you're not allowed to use someone else's data unless you have a justification. And the result of that is that you have rights like a right that you walk up to a company and say, delete everything you have about me. You have a right to access, so you can say, I want to have a copy of everything you have about me. And all of these little elements in the law overall are meant to give you that power over your data that in an information society we should probably have.
In the U.S., a law as such could lead to a slippery slope due to First Amendment rights. As well, the verbiage in which this law will be satisfied through the restructuring of companies' terms and conditions would have to be made clear. The consumer should be able to easily understand their rights and make a conscious decision in whether or not to voluntarily participate in ad-supported and data-driven practices.